Somehow this idea came, I don't know if it was my idea or whose idea it was. It was like, hey, take a turn, throw a match in the grass, and whoever's willing to let their fire get the biggest wins. The other guys are sissy.
That's like such a bad idea.
So I'm the younger guy, so my brother goes, and he only gets like a fire like maybe the size of my truck, and then he puts it out. Then my cousin goes, I think it was Rob, and he gets it about twice the size of the truck. So I'm like, you guys are sissies. I got this totally beat. Well, the fire got about 3 or 4 times the size of my truck, and none of these alders were here. And a thing of wind came through, and whoosh.
Oh.
Well, now 2/3 of this whole area is on fire, and the fire is going into those trees over there. And now I'm freaking out.
You know, vulnerability has always been something that I've struggled with as far as just, you know, the opening up and the complete transparency. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. But at the same time, I'm very much looking forward to being nervous and kind of confronting all of that and getting over it. So that's going to be cool.
Up until about 7 years ago, I think I would probably label that phase of my life as extraordinary loneliness. I was hurting and dying on the inside, and I didn't even know to the depth of how much I was hurting and dying on the inside at the time. You know, after going through, I had an affair, went through a very, very painful divorce that was very public. Lots of being trashed on pretty hard. You know, I'd say that season of life was a season of extreme loss and shame. Loneliness in a very, very different way. You know, before I was lonely, but there was lots of people around. Kind of after going through my divorce, there was a season there for a couple years where I was lonely, and it was kind of like, where did everybody go?
It's an interesting story, you know, and it's something that I really have not talked about a lot. You know, it's not that it doesn't make me comfortable, but it's just kind of one of those things where I've never had a reason to bring it up. So, you know, getting out there and fishing with all these guys I'm so stoked for that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But at the same time, you know, ripping open a lot of these Band-Aid wounds is gonna hurt. It's for the best, you know. So I expect it to be all over the place.
All right, fellas. Ready? Looking right here first. 3, 2, 1.
Set my weight up front, balance
I always knew that Micah and I would be able to work through the pain of 7 years ago. You know, I was thinking last night, you know, it's something I'm going to talk about more about with Micah, is there was this moment when, you know, I'd had an affair, I'd been keeping it a secret for a year, and inside I was just coming apart. And, you know, finally it was like, I gotta talk, I gotta tell people or I'm gonna die. And when I did that, obviously the whole world around me came crashing down, and there was this moment when I was really upset, and I think I was actually getting in my truck to leave the house or something, and Micah pulled in, and he knew something was wrong.
I would have never in 1,000 years guessed that that's what happened or that would have happened or anything like that. The day that he told me, I went and spent the day out on the golf course just by myself. As soon as he told me, I just left the house and just kind of needed to figure out, you know, what was happening, because my parents were declaring bankruptcy, so they were saying that the house was going to be going away in a month or two, and my mom was moving away, and my dad wasn't sure what he was doing, and my sisters are going with my mom, and they want to know where I'm going, and what are you going to do? And that was kind of it all got thrown on my plate like that. And I was just kind of oblivious, but that's being young.
You know, over that next few years, it was hard. You know, Micah was a senior in high school, and to have his mom and dad get a divorce, and I think a lot of it probably was his perception of me really changed.
Do you feel like you've just been on survival mode the last few years?
Yeah, that's a fairly accurate way to put it. Treading water is kind of another way, especially emotionally. And it's been weird because there's not really been a clear way to get through that. Like my mom's always like, if you ever need to talk about this, let's talk about this. And it's the hardest to talk about, it's hard to talk about this kind of stuff with somebody who was intimately involved with it. Because it just changes things. I don't want to say certain things that'll either make her, bum her out, or, I just try not to dredge any of this kind of stuff up around anybody, because it kind of it brings out a weirdness in everybody, and I don't know.
You just want to keep the peace.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just want life to be back to normal, and the more you dredge all that kind of stuff up, the more it kind of becomes not so normal, and it kind of reignites all those old bad feelings and things like that. So the internalization has kind of just been a survival tactic, as far as all this crap hurts, let's just not, but it's not healthy, and it's something that's I'm slowly being able to open up more and talk more about it. Like this past week, this is the most I've ever talked about it ever. I mean, you could probably take all of the combined time beforehand and it doesn't match up to this, so this has been very good.
What 3 words would you use to describe your relationship currently with your father, son?
I think the 3 words I would use, one is fun. Fun characterizes part of our relationship. I think another word probably is transitioning. Micah's about ready to turn 25 here in 2.5 weeks or whatever that is. And the conversations that we have and the way we relate is, they're still father-son, but it's much more peer father-son, give and take, in terms of me asking for his thoughts and his advice, and he's very, very creative and smart and got a great business mind on his head, and I love talking about that stuff. So our relationship is transitioning in that way, I would say. I think another word I would use, and I'm not even quite sure what the word is, you guys, I would say unfinished healing is probably a word that is appropriate for my relationship with my son, and part of really my journey over the last 7 or 8 years. And I think probably some of the greatest wounds that have ever happened to my son came from choices that I made. And I know that there's been a lot of healing in the last handful of years, but I think it's unfinished. And so I think unfinished healing characterizes it as well.
And in you.
Oh, sure.
Unfinished healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.